All right, 3 after 8, a very warm welcome if you just are joining us. It's always a pleasure to have all hands on deck here on Morning at NTV. Time now for the Kickstarter and raising awareness about the right to complain as part of this year's commemoration of the World's Ombudsman's Day. Interesting. Every second Thursday of October, people from around the world take time to celebrate ombudsmen. Is that something that's right? Maybe the official will be correcting me on that. The IGG's office is at the forefront of this, and we seek the approach of the IGG's office in this particular commemoration that was conducted across the globe on the second Thursday of October, but because it was 10th, Uganda was celebrating independence on the 9th, we as a country chose to shift this particular day to the 6th of November to allow for full commemoration, celebration, as well as marking. In studio, I'm joined by Stephen Okiror, the Director, Ombudsman Affairs at the Office of the Inspector General. You're most welcome.
Thank you, Chris.
First and foremost, how do I rightly pronounce that word?
You have already pronounced it rightly.
Really?
Ombudsman.
Okay.
Yes.
I was oscillating between British and American. The Americans tend to be very, very flamboyant with their pronunciation, so I was beginning to be afraid. Mm-hmm. So tell us about this particular day before I get into something that is very, very interesting, the right to complain.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good morning, viewers, once again. The Ombudsman Day is a day that was set aside to commemorate the ombudsman function. That is to popularize, raise awareness and about the ombudsman function. Maybe, Chris, we can begin from that.
That is right.
What is the ombudsman? The word ombudsman originates from Sweden, sometime in 1809, when the Swedish government saw that citizens needed to be protected.
That's right.
So an ombudsman is a person appointed by government to listen to complaints raised by citizens.
By the people.
The reason you say you have a right to complain. So an ombudsman is a person appointed by government to listen to complaints raised by citizens about public service delivery. So in Uganda, the chief ombudsman is the Inspector General of Government. So the ombudsman receives complaints and investigates them and issues directives or recommendations to address the complaint. Okay. Yes, Chris.
All right.
Yeah.
So it means, before we even go further, get to the foundational aspects of the need to complain. You've already told us about the fact that the Ombudsman does receive all the complaints from the people.
Yes.
Many of us hadn't known the IGG for that, as in anyone's complaints, including myself, would be readily taken on and probed by the IGG. All we know is the IGG is dealing with big things, including corruption cases, probing ethics and standards within government agencies and stuff like that. Tell us about the complaints down at the lesser levels where it's not the agencies on the spot, people complaining, and how these cases are either received and resolved.
Okay, thank you. Just beginning from where you have stated, you know, most people understand the Inspectorate of Government as only doing the anti-corruption.
Yeah.
Ideally,
the anti-corruption watchdog.
The Inspectorate of Government is 3 core mandates: the anti-corruption, the ombudsman, and then the leadership code of conduct. So these other two, the anti-corruption and the leadership, are more pronounced. But the ombudsman function is not pronounced. The reason, and it's not unique to Uganda, it is global. The reason commemorating it was decided for every second Thursday of every October. So here, you know, our constitution is very clear. If you read it, we are not going to the nitty-gritty details, but it is saying that all public offices are held in trust of the people. Those of us who have the opportunity to hold a public office, we hold them in trust of the people. But you realize and you know it that somehow we seem to think that we are doing the public
the people a favor.
Yeah, so you find a citizen requires a service of a public official, but he's not getting it the way he's supposed to get it and as he's supposed to get it. And in extreme cases, even paying for a service for which they are not supposed to pay.
Yeah.
So at that point, the citizen can complain to the chief ombudsperson, the Inspector General of Government. So the kind of complaints we receive are really complaints which touch the individual. If you have not been paid your salary for reasons you don't understand, if you have been removed from the payroll, you know you are a pensioner, an old person, has traveled all the way from maybe Kabale or Karamoja, and he has not received his pension, he has not received this gratuity, he is seeing that his end is really coming, but he's not receiving what is due.
That's right.
You bring such a complaint. You go to a police station for a service which is supposed to be free, and you are not given, you find challenges, you bring such a complaint. You go to maybe immigration, you are looking for a passport, you are looking for a driving permit, you want a land title. Those are all services which government delivers to the people. And you find that it is not delivered in the quality and the timeliness that it's supposed to be. So those are the kind of complaints which we receive. That is from the public. But when you go into the public sector itself, Chris, if this is a public institution, and you find that for some reason your boss is just victimizing you all the time, you know, you don't understand why, and is here reprimanding all the time, or probably for the ladies or even gentlemen, sexual harassing. These are the kind of complaints, which are called the ombudsman complaints. You bring that, the Inspectorate of Government receives. We receive them the way you give us.
Then you conduct an investigation.
And then we conduct an independent investigation, and then we get the facts of the matter and make proposals and directives.
Yes. Then why is it that these complaints at the bottom of the pyramid for the IGG have not been pronounced, yet they stand the chance of entrenching confidence in the conduct of the work of the IGG?
You know, it's simply because people do not understand that whatever we do, whether at what level, it's for the benefit of the common person. You know, when somebody goes to the hospital, he's supposed to get a service, a public service, a government service, for free, unless there is a statutory charge for it. Now, people don't pay attention to that, simply because it is affecting individuals. And yet public service is purely about serving the citizens. So you find that when it comes to the Inspectorate of Government, people think about only stealing the big...
Or dealing with those that have stolen big money.
We are not saying that is not bad, but we are also saying that, you see, people should be served. If you have finished school and you want your certificate, you should be given your certificate at a time you're supposed to get, because you want to use it.
You need to use it.
Yeah, it looks a small thing, but it's very important. You know, if you are not getting treatment, it looks like it is a small thing. You say the nurse is asking for 10,000. It looks like it's a small thing, but you don't pay it. It is either that 10,000 or life. And then you see the magnitude of it. That's why people don't pay much attention to it.
Now, there are incidents, for example, where the IGG's office takes on cases on account of pressure, or when the president, a minister, or a government official has spoken about something. But within the public eye, or in the court of public opinion, such case should have been taken on even without waiting for the president, a minister, or an official to complain. What mandate is available for the IGG to take on a case before a complaint is pushed through?
Yeah, the IGG can initiate an action on its own where it deems necessary. So there is this aspect of receiving the complaint, especially the ombudsman aspect. You know, ombudsman aspect is merely about addressing the issues of the common person.
That is right.
But on the broader mandate, when it comes to anti-corruption,
the leadership code,
the inspector can be proactive and also, you know, trigger some actions, investigations on its own. Even for the ombudsman, we have now kind of improved with the current management that we do what we call spot checks. You might have seen a lot of information on social media.
In the media, we call them raids.
For us, we call them impromptu spot checks.
Impromptu spot checks.
We visit a facility, if it is a health facility, and see things the way they are. And you get a lot of information which is going on there. And we have recommended action on the basis of what we have found on the ground. So generally, the inspectorate can initiate actions to ensure that the services are delivered the way they are supposed to be.
Okay. Yeah. Briefly, or rather in a short while, we'll be looking at the year's theme, which of course lies pretty much within what you've said, but where the commemorations will be. But let me first bring you up to speed with the fact that there are also complaints against the IGG. Yes, you receive these complaints, but people are also complaining about the Ombudsman and the conduct of duty. There was 2 years ago when there appeared to be a compromise being reached between the IGG and 3 persons who were accused of misappropriating, stealing money, and the agreement seemed to be one that was hinged on, can you repay an amount, a section, or rather just a bit of what you stole in a pay, for example, 3 months, 4 months, and then you ensure that this money is returned to the government coffers. That seems to be very lenient to the corrupt, and it gives the wrong message on the part of the IGG. If people are going to know that if I steal huge sums of money, I'll be sat down on the table and a negotiation will go on how I pay back that money. Now, the reason is this. People who steal a lot of money know how to use money to make more money. When a person is given the leeway to pay in installments money that they've stolen instead of facing the law in its entirety, that is a bad sport on the IGG's work and the ability of the Ombudsman to actually see through the complaints of the people. How has this issue been catered for since then? Has there been any changes?
You know, Chris, you need to understand the context under which the Inspectorate of Government operates. And because we don't operate in isolation. And you see, when it comes to the aspect of corruption, you know, our laws are very clear. You are supposed to provide proof beyond reasonable doubt. Okay? So if we are saying Chris Higeni has taken this amount of money,
God forbid,
and then we are saying we are taking you to court. The moment the matter goes to court, so many things can happen there, under which the Inspector of Government has no control. Okay? But sometimes, if Chris, being a Christian in his, says, you know what, I must make peace with God. The evidence available is that I actually took this money. Okay? Rather than go through the rigorous
the trials,
he says, can I be allowed to pay this money? In court, it's called plea bargain. You go in for a plea bargain, which is an alternative of a court process, which is actually okay. And you know, remember, when you go to court, it is 50-50. You can lose, you can win. So if you are sure of winning here, and you are not sure of winning the other way, okay, there is a lesson you will be sending. But I think it is probably a better option, really. But you see, this payment in installments is not a general practice. Sometimes payment in installment comes in a situation like this. If we find that Chris, for example, was being paid a salary which was not commensurate with what he's supposed to, for whatever reason. And we agreed that that money can be recovered. You can pay it in installments. But if you stole, and we're saying this building, you put it up, this arcade, you put it up out of the money which you stole, you're not going to refund that money in installments. We have had the situations where the IG has confiscated huge buildings.
Okay.
If I had known that you're going to ask that, I would have come with some data.
Okay,
but
no doubt. Since the data is unavailable for now, I think as we inch closer to the end of the conversation, we shall have to dwell much on exactly where and how the commemorations will be going on the 6th of November. Anything that is different from the usual national government event, something the people should be looking out for?
You know, like you were saying, Ombudsman is not a popular thing. Not everybody knows. So first and foremost, it is raising awareness about the Ombudsman function, so that people do understand that there is such a function, which institution is executing it. The day, you already know, will be 6th November, but the detail of how it is going to be managed will be issued on a press release with the time to in due course. But on Thursday, 10th, which was the exact date of the Ombudsman Day,
10th October,
we had a press release at a press conference at the Media Center, where the Inspector General of Government talked elaborately about the Ombudsman function. Okay. Yeah. So.
All right. Of course, you being a top official in the IGG's office, I would like you to have your last word directed towards developments on the leadership code and how leaders out there ought to pay attention to this.
Next year is a declaration year. And we are now...
because of the election?
No, for leaders.
For leaders, yeah.
We declare after 2 years. So next year is a declaration year for the leaders. So we are in the process preparing for it. But for my coming here, what I want to tell my colleagues there who are public officials is that the Constitution is very clear. The offices we hold in trust of the people. And in the course of executing our duties, we are supposed to respect the people. We don't have to treat these offices like they are ours. A person comes and you are there, he wants a service from you, you are saying, wait. Then when you wait, the person is coming from very far, has spent money, has spent time to come and get a service. You go to a public hospital, you are supposed to be given treatment for free. We are here as public officials owning these offices. That is unacceptable. So the Ombudsman function is a function where we listen to complaints from the public and from public officials about what is taking place in the public service. If you are being oppressed, if you are not in the payroll, please raise a complaint with the Chief Ombudsman. Okay.
I'd completely forgotten to ask you what the Directorate of the Ombudsman Affairs achieved in 2023-2024. Do highlight some of that. we achieved quite a lot. First of all, we resolved over 1,000 ombudsman complaints. Wow.
Yeah. And as a result of our resolutions, over 2 billion shillings was paid to individuals. Individuals, those who missed salary.
Whose complaints were successfully resolved.
Yeah, whose complaints were
dealt with. Genuine.
Yeah.
We have those ones who also want to make
there are also people who think they can use the Inspectorate of Government to fight their wars.
Uganda.
They will come and say, Chris is doing this. When you look at it, you actually find that the complainant is the problem. It's not necessarily part of the solution. So for those complaints which were genuine, we recovered. It led to payment over 2 billion shillings to individuals.
To individuals.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any recoveries, and can you put some to asset recovery, for example?
Asset recovery, generally, as the
IGG.
As the Inspectorate of Government, I can't be very committed on that one. Yes.
All right, perfectly understandable. No doubt, we are happy that you've been able to at least break down some of these issues. We now do understand, and will maybe not be too hard on Betty Olive Kamya sometimes, but do pass the information, especially from Ugandans, that the job must be done and be done in a way that is, of course, favorable to the taxpayer. Many thanks, Mr. Stephen Okiror.